Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. What a treat we get in this one. 1.5 in favor of the Chiefs. 48.5 to 49 is your total. Adam, I'll kick it to you here. We see the Bills team coming out of a bye. And so this is, listen, at least somewhat interesting. They get a week to late in the season, try to assess what was going on the defensive side of the ball. Is there any changes that need to be made? We know the offense was still functioning at a pretty high level.
This is where we start to see the net rest edge that's so bad for Kansas City this year start to really play out, where Buffalo has had a chance. As you mentioned, they come off the bye, and not only do they start to look good offensively in that Philadelphia game in particular, but they've got a little time finally to start to adjust to some of the defensive injuries that they've had. And maybe, fingers crossed on this one, maybe they are able to figure something out defensively against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is not the same as it's been in past years. Look, I'm not selling Kansas City to the level that I've heard some people sell Kansas City. Some of the games the Chiefs have lost this year have been on absolutely fluky type things. That being said, I think Buffalo as a teaser leg here is your safest option. And I know you're going to hear a lot of smart people, I bet you on this podcast, talk about having already taken Buffalo +3 or still taking Buffalo on the money line. And all of those things are absolutely fine for me. I've seen Josh Allen be Josh Allen too many times this year for me to trust Buffalo in that kind of situation. I just don't trust that he's not going to go out there and have another one of these 2 or 3 interception games that screws up my handicap. But that being said, I also don't trust that the Chiefs can turn all of those into a ton of points. And so for me, Buffalo at up to 7.5 is where I like this as a teaser leg that I'm pairing up with Tampa from earlier and one other game this week.
So you're right. I played the Bills on the money line +120. I missed the 2.5. And so once I missed the 2.5, I'm just going to go ahead and play it on the money line at that point. So the Chiefs offense, Steven, we've talked about it. Like I've been very vocal about how this offense has gone in these gigantic spurts where they just don't produce, and it has started to catch up with them. And then further, they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Drew Tranquill, Pacheco, Smith, Cook, all these guys that are hurt that we're going to have to see whether they're going to be able to play or not, or what their status is going to be. And then the other thing about this is the Chiefs were getting by with this offense sputtering because of the defense playing at such a high level. Over the last month, the Chiefs defense is 25th in EPA per play allowed. They are 23rd in dropback EPA allowed. PFF has them 22nd in coverage grade. This defense that we were saying, hey, look how amazing this defense is, that's how they're winning these games, has started to slip specifically through the air with these teams, which, as we know, is the much more efficient way to move the ball anyway. So I don't think that's great. And to a little bit of a counter to Adam's point on the Josh Allen thing, he's still second in the NFL in total EPA. He's 4th in the NFL in CPOE. He is the 2nd overall graded quarterback according to Pro Football Focus on the season. And as much as we talk about him being careless, and it seems like he's just more careless in inopportune times, but we bring up turnover-worthy plays all the time on this show. He's tied for 16th in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. He's behind Tua, Mahomes, Purdy, Stroud, Herbert, all these other guys that have more turnover-worthy plays than Allen does over the course of the season. So I get it. They're kind of inopportune sometimes, but I think we think he's putting the ball in harm's way a little bit more than is what actually is happening in all actuality. Yeah, Adam?
Yeah, Steven, I just want to I want to push back directly on that in the moment. I wasn't saying that's why I don't want to bet Josh Allen. I'm saying that's why I'm betting Buffalo the way that I'm betting Buffalo, is to say I like the teaser and the idea of, hey, this could get a little funky here because of the potential for turnovers, because 16th isn't 32nd, it's 16th. It's still just more variance that I don't want to be on Buffalo in terms of having to play them at less than a field goal. So I just don't want to get that to get lost in the way that I was talking about it.
Yeah, for me, I've been lower on this Chiefs teams than everybody has all season long. You guys know it's so there might be a little bit of a bias in this for me. But that being said, I was not high on the Bills either. So the fact that I am coming in on the Bills on the money line just lets you know kind of how I think that this could play out, given Bills coming off of a bye, given the injury situations for the Chiefs, and given the fact that we've seen this Chiefs defense start to give it up through the air a little bit more here, and we know that the Bills can still move the ball. Steven, the court is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I think we have seen over and over again that elite defense with a sputtering offense isn't sustainable in this league with the way the rules are if you're going to play quality opponents. And I think we've seen a little bit of that with Kansas City in recent weeks where the defense has a bad game and they can't survive. So I think probably it sounds like we all agree that the best unit on the field in this game is the Buffalo offense, at least from what they've put on the field so far this year. And the advanced stats back that up. As of right now, this would be the first season in the Patrick Mahomes era where Kansas City does not finish top 5 in either EPA or success rate. And across the board, the Buffalo offense has been better by these advanced stats than Kansas City has been. So I landed on the teaser leg the way that Adam did for the same reasons that he mentioned, at least a couple of concerns that he had, but wouldn't argue with you on the price here, Matt. But I'll just say, like, this is the most fascinating spread of the week by far, because what is home field advantage at Arrowhead worth? Because we all understand and have been told that it's one of, if not the best home field advantages in the NFL. So if we're giving them 2 points, 2.5 points for home field advantage, this current spread and the professional money in the market is telling us that the rest advantage is worth more than the spread saying that the Chiefs are actually not as good as the Bills on a neutral field. Because if you strip out home field, this spread is screaming that the Bills are actually the better team on a neutral field. But I agree with you that the rest advantage and a couple injuries here are playing a huge part in why this number is what it is.
Adam, this is actually, I think, a good time for us as we get into the home stretch here, just real quick. Like, so now that we've got a body of work, we've looked at all this stuff. Where are you with home field advantage right now as far as your handicapping goes? Because I can tell you from my personal experience, like, I never go more than 1.5 and I only go 1.5 to a place like Kansas City, Philly, the Superdome at night, like not a morning game or whatever, but like certain things like that. But like Raiders, none. LA, none. Like what? So like, a lot of these teams don't have any. I gave absolutely zero. Miami, none. Like, so where are you from your handicapping from a home field advantage standpoint?
Before I get to the point on that, I missed and just saw the fact that Seattle has made a QB signing to its practice squad. Geno Smith limited with a groin injury, so definitely take that into consideration with what we just talked about with the Seattle props. If Geno is limited with a groin injury, he's already limited under pressure, and that would take me directly off anything related to Geno.
And as you say that, as a good thing we're talking about this game, it is official. Pacheco is out. So get your Clyde Edwards-Helaire in your lineups if you're playing fantasy. Go get you some CEH. Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of home field advantages, the one you didn't mention for me that's a 1.5 is Minnesota. Minnesota is demonstrably better at home. And overall, I actually do tend to default to 1 just because I don't want to react too much to individual seasons. And I try to go back to the fact that for so many years we made it 3, which was clearly too much. But 1.5 is the top number for me. I default to 1 unless there's a reason to come off 1. And even for Vegas, with the fact that it's almost all opposing fans in that stadium, maybe you consider it in that spot because now you don't have any sort of long-term feel for what a home field advantage is in Vegas in a stadium that they've played with fans in only 3 years now.
But Adam, would you agree that there's at least some influential money in the market that is giving more for home field than we are? Because I'm more in line with you guys, but like I've gotten pushback on that. I've even had somebody who I respect in recent weeks tell me like Philadelphia should still get 2.5 for home field.
I mean, I think if we're going to start to try to get into the idea of what respected money thinks, the spreadsheets and algorithms and access to insider information and things that they have is so far beyond anything that we're going to be able to talk about on this podcast that I'm not going to get to thinking too much about it. But if you have someone that you respect who believes that a particular home field is worth 2.5, sure, I don't agree, but I understand the fact that there are a lot of people smarter at this than I am, and if they see it, then I respect it.
Yeah, I guess for me, and we'll move on, but for me, if we used to think 2.5, 3 back in the day, where like all of the things that went into that still only got us to 2.5 and 3, and then now so much of that is stripped away. They're not traveling by bus. They're not traveling even by everything's private.
Yeah.
Their own the travel schedules are like literally broken down to a fine art. They're traveling with chefs. They're doing all these things that used to factor into a road game being so much tougher is now like just not into effect. It really only comes down to like crowd noise really at this point. And so for me, it's just kind of like, 1.5, I'll give you 1.5. But outside of that, it seems like we're really trying to like bake in just how much that affects.
Even if it's a 1.5, it still makes this spread very fascinating for this week and this week only.
I'm glad we're on this game. By the way, guys, all 4 of those guys that I mentioned are out for the Chiefs. So
here we go.
Pacheco is out. Their left tackle, Donovan Smith, is out. Drew Tranquill, who is by proxy their green dot linebacker, is out. And then Brian Cook, safety, is out. So it is not a great injury report there for the Kansas City Chiefs either in this one.